Fatimata muy yaayam Jukum Jame muy baayam Doma na ñaawo Doma na ñaawe ma woy Wi ma ne jëlu ndaare xam nga ne jëlu ndaare Bayi Muhammad jëlu ndaa Bayi Mariam ne jëlu ndaa Siri Zeyna ne jëlu ndaa ku la bëgg ndaare bàyyi ko mu dem ndaa du la fekk ndaare yoo jëlu ndaa You are the light so You are the moon too Ya leeral ni yoo suñu ree Ya leeral ni yoo suñu ree Gis naa ni xam naa ne yow yaa yaasi pour aaye dëgg la naa ni xam naa ne yow yaa yaasi pour aaye dëgg la àdduna ngi lay xool wi ñëpp a ngi lay xool You are the light so You are the moon too yaa leeral ni yoo suñu ree kilifa diine yee kilifa aada yee waaw muy jàmm la nii ñaan
The Makasoto Culture Forest in the Gambia is famous. Its fame derives from its huge popularity as a destination for ecotourism, which brings people from all over the world to the Gambia. A private tourist reserve, the Makasoto has a variety of ecosystems ranging from mangroves to semi-wooded grassland. The promoters have ingeniously developed Makasoto into a resort so enchanting, so alluring, and maybe so lucrative. There are only a few places like the Makasoto forest in the world today, and in West Africa, it is probably the only one of its kind. The Gambia is one of the few countries in West Africa that has paid some attention to the preservation of its forests. The immediate benefit is that ecotourism is growing in the Gambia, a country that is already a popular tourist destination. The Gambia has a community forest management policy which guards against the further depletion of forest resources. This is what the country operates at the Pirang Reserve, a gallery forest with thick, tall canopy of trees covering an area of 64 hectares. The reserve, jointly owned by the government and the two adjoining communities, Pirang and Bonto, is protected by community members in the employment of the government. With an office deep in the thick forest, the forest guards have a sense of commitment to their duty because they are part owners of the reserve.
And the most important aspect of the Gambia forest resources, because it is the only natural resource which the communities have immediate access to with less cost and less effort.
Apart from Pirang, there is Tumani Tender further east of Banjul, where the management and conservation of the forest is a preoccupation of the community. With a river, a mangrove, and over 300 hectares of forest area, Tumani Tender Ecotourist Camp is quite popular with lovers of nature.
I've been very impressed by the biodiversity in the country, in particular the protection of the hardwood species of trees, and obviously this had follow-on effects with the other species. I'm a bird watcher. The country has over 500 species of birds, and this place, Tumani Tender in particular, has some of the rarest species visiting every day. If the natural environment is protected as well as it has been, it will continue to be an incredible asset for the country for decades to come.
This project is benefiting the community, and all the people working here also at the camp here are all from the village. We select people from each family. We have 7 extended families, so each family sends somebody to come and work here voluntarily, because whatever we are getting here, we pump it back to the community.
Apart from reserves such as Birang and Tumani Tender, with shared ownership, the government of the Gambia owns 66 forest parks across the country. The Gambia in 2011 was awarded the Silver Medal in the International Future Award for its community forest management policy, which ensures that the country is maximizing its forest resources. Most countries in West Africa cannot present such a hopeful picture. The general situation in most parts of the region is that forests everywhere are being depleted. A graphic illustration of this is the fact that once upon a time, West Africa had 72 million hectares of forest area. Experts estimate that 1.2 million hectares of this is lost every year. Nigeria, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire alone contribute 62% of this. In 1990, West Africans boasted of over half a hectare of forest per inhabitant. By 2011, West Africans could barely boast of a quarter per hectare of forest per inhabitant, 50% less than North Africans. The forester from Sierra Leone complains that his country lost 19,300 hectares of forest per year in the last decade, applied the Senegalese forester Cherzin. The Guinea forest, which is one of the world's largest, stretching into Sierra Leone, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, and Cameroon, is fast depleting.
Yet forests are no less valuable today than in the past. They must provide more food, more energy, more fodder, more fruits and tubers for a large and increasing population whose way of life has not fundamentally changed in 20 years, let alone the biodiversity that is only a remote representation of what it was at the dawn of the independence of our countries.
Why indeed Liberia has been affected to a larger extent, especially the post-war period, when there's a need for energy production for the use by the population. There's a need for housing construction used by the population. As a result of the war, there were a lot of houses destroyed, infrastructures were broken down. So there's a need for wood, and there's a need for agricultural expansion by the population. There was a complete collapse in food production, and so there was a need for that. And so all these activities have somehow affected the forest ecosystem of Liberia.
You don't even need to be an expert to see that the forests are disappearing. The evidence is before our eyes, irrespective of the country you live in West Africa. One major reason for the adverse situation is this: felling of wood for fuel. The West Africa community generally relies on wood for its energy. Not only is it the cheapest, it is apparently the easiest to source in a region grappling with enormous energy problems. From rural to urban settlements in countries across the region, this is a common sight. Firewood is the primary fuel for all basic needs.